going on YouTube? The Apophis here, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little hardpoint. See, I switched it up this time. No more domination, playing some hardpoint. I know, I went back to a submachine gun. Please don't crucify me. And if you do, hey, at least leave the crown of thorns off, because that's kind of mean. Oh, religious reference, don't unsub, it's just a joke. If you can't take it, then you're too damn uptight anyway. Totally not the point of the video. Religion is definitely not what we're talking about. The game is definitely not what we're talking about. What we're going to talk about today is next gen consoles and why I think I'm going to stay away from them. The biggest thing that has come up in rumors for both sides, Sony and Microsoft, is they're going to block the ability to play used games. Some of you might not care about that because you buy all of your games brand new. I, however, am not that guy. I'm not even so much butthurt that they're blocking used games, but they're blocking my ability to play a game that I don't have an activation code for. But now we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of this, so we're just going to go ahead and start it, and you'll totally understand what I'm talking about by the time we get to the end of this. First and foremost, I'm not going to support this because I don't agree with the moral structure behind it. The big deal is they're trying to take money out of stores' pockets, stores like GameStop who sell used games. If you don't know, the profit they make off of used games goes directly back to the store and not to the developer at all. The developer was already paid for the game the first time that it was sold. Okay, so GameStop uses the revenue they get from the used games to pay their employees, to pay their overhead, and to keep their doors open. By limiting the sale of used games, or eliminating it in this scenario, they're taking jobs away from people, in my eyes. Okay, people are gonna, all the employees at GameStop, they're gonna be out of work when GameStop closes because it can't make enough money off of new game sales in order to keep its doors open. That doesn't sit well with me from a moral standpoint. In an economy like today's, why are we doing all we can to put people out of work or to close down businesses? I don't think that's fair. And I really don't think it's fair because let's say every game sold, the money goes to the developer, or their cut of it goes to them. I don't think that if we give the developers more money that they're going to take the time to make better content. Right? They know, like, let's take Call of Duty for example. We talk about every year how it's pretty much a copy-paste game, that a lot of the things are the same. They might change one or two minor things. But a lot of people don't feel that Call of Duty warrants the price tag of $60 every year. I'm not on that boat. Personally, for me, I think Call of Duty warrants it because I'm going to play it for a full solid year. But a game like Forza, I'm not going to play Forza for a full solid year. I'm going to play it every now and then. And over a year's time, it might get 4 or 5 days worth of gameplay into it. Now I know that that's not the case for everybody. Some people are going to play Forza religiously or whatever, and I get that. But the point is, to me, I don't think that that game is worth $60. We can take a lower end game even, like there was that X-Men game, X-Men Destiny, I think it was called, or something like that. It came out like 2 years ago, a year or two ago, not 2 years. Either way, that game was fun, but it was only like 4 or 5 hours long. To me, 4 or 5 hours isn't worth $60. A game like Skyrim, which has a 100-hour campaign if you run around and explore everything, that's worth $60. You're getting more for your money in that case. So I don't think that developers are going to take the time to add in longer campaigns or add in better content just because they're making more money. What they're actually going to do, because it's corporate greed, is they're going to put out the same amount of content and make more money than they usually would because there's going to be no used game sales, and they're going to take more home instead of giving more to the consumer. So that doesn't sit morally well with me because they're going to take people out of jobs and they're not going to give us more for our money's worth. Now, the one rumor is that the Xbox is going to have Blu-ray capability. So what that does is that increases the data capacity on the disc from 8.5 gigs to 50. Okay, so they're going to have the space to develop to fill a full 50 if they want. But I challenge you to take your games that you have now, install them to your hard drive, and see how many of them actually come out to the full 8.5 gigs. Very few of them are. There's quite a couple. There's actually quite a few games out there in the market that don't even use the full capacity of the DVDs that are currently used. So although that is an upgrade for movie watching, I don't think that we're going to see too much of an upgrade as far as content goes. Back on the point though with this whole no use game thing. What they're going to do to implement this is every game is going to come with an activation code, very similar to PC. Okay, that activation code is going to be required in order for you to play the game. You're going to have to put that code in, or it's going to put itself in automatically. I don't really know how it's going to work. I just know there's going to be an activation code. Okay, aside from an activation code, you're going to have an always-on internet connection so that the console can do all its security checks on a constant basis. Well, that doesn't sit well with me either. What about the families that don't have internet? I know it's few and far between, but there's still people out there. And yeah, you could argue that people without internet probably aren't spending their money on consoles. But let's just hypothetically say that some people buy consoles that don't have internet. So now they're not going to be able to play games because they don't have an always-on connection. Let's take that a step further. What about the households that don't have Wi-Fi? Both consoles are rumored to have Wi-Fi capabilities. But what about the houses that don't? Let's say Timmy saves up all of his allowance for a year to buy the new console, but his parents are run one internet connection that's wired to the home office computer. Well, Timmy can't take his console to his bedroom or wherever he was going to play it now because he doesn't have internet. Instead, somebody's going to have to pony up for a wireless router of some kind so that Timmy can play his games, and that's unfair when you consider the cost that these consoles are probably going to be. If we look at recent or previous costs for launch consoles, it's astounding. They're expensive as all can be, and now you're going to require some people to buy even more hardware, such as a router, in order to play on these consoles. And I think that is kind of dicking the consumer as well. Along with these activation codes, what if you want to go to your friend's house? You can't take the new Call of Duty to your friend's house to play it on his console because guess what? He doesn't have an activation code. The only way they can get around that is if they do something similar to what Steam does and the activation codes are linked to your account, which I can go to any computer, log into my Steam account, and re-download the game and play it. So if they have some kind of tie-in with your gamertag or PSN account to where the activation code will follow your account, then sure, that's going to be one way to try to fix that error. But what if, what if you want to trade games with your friend? I know I used to do that a lot. I used to let a friend borrow a game of mine in exchange for me borrowing a game of his for a couple weeks. Well, that's not going to be allowed anymore. And I think that that's completely unfair because what if I'd have never even played the game unless I borrowed it from my friend? The whole purpose of me borrowing games was to try them to see if I liked them enough to buy them. I'm somebody who likes to rent games. If you like to rent games, guess what? You're not going to be able to rent games anymore because there's not enough activation codes for that. So for me, I like to rent a game, play it. If I like it, I buy it. It's like a long extended demo for me because I don't think demo is a very good representation of the final product. So that eliminates that. It's also going to put businesses like GameFly out. GameFly, if you don't know, is similar to Netflix, only they rent games instead of movies. Games to your mail. Well, that's fantastic. It's a great service, and I really enjoy it. If it was a little cheaper, I would use it more. But the fact of the matter is there's plenty of people that do use it, and now they're going to put that company out of business all because of greed, all because they want more money. I think all of those factors combined, when it comes to this whole no-use game thing, is a real put-off for me. I have a PC, and yes, I get that PC requires activation codes, and I get that some games on PC like that always-on connection stuff. But if I'm going to have to put up with that, then I'm at least going to use my PC, which is going to have better hardware in it than both of these consoles are going to be shipping with. Okay, so at least the PC balances it out. Now, the one good side I see coming from all of this is with this whole no-use game thing is probably going to put off a lot of people, and it's probably going to make a big push for people to switch to PC, which is going to make PC gaming better and could very well push it to be the dominant platform over the Xbox and the PlayStation, should these rumors manifest to be true. The other thing we have to keep in mind is that these are just rumors. although they're coming from multiple sources and they're pretty credible that this is going to be a thing, and they talked about it for a while, and it's been pretty much the only consistent rumor about any of them. Nice cleanup there. Is that they're going to require the always on connection, or I mean they're going to require activation codes for games. So if you're thinking about either one, maybe you might want to consider a console or a PC instead, because when we look at launch prices, we're probably looking at $600 to $700 for the new consoles. Well, if you invest that $600 to $700, save a little bit more, you could probably build a pretty solid gaming rig that's going to have hardware that's very equivalent, if not better than that, of what's going to be shipping with the next gen consoles. So that's just my take on it. I'd love to hear yours. Please drop that in the comments below, and thanks for stopping by. Alright guys, there's two videos on the screen. The one on the left, click it. You know you want to. It's going to open in another window. The one on the right, you're going to want to watch that one too, especially if you like this one. Why you're going to want to watch that one? Because my sexy ass is in it. Come on now, let's be real. The subscribe button annotation's still broken, so everybody spam YouTube. Tell them to fix that shit, or else you'd be able to click that button to subscribe. But right now, you can't, because it's broken. And as always, everybody follow me on Twitter. That's where I tweet out when I'm playing, what game I'm playing, and I try to put together parties because, quite honestly, it is way more fun to play with a bunch of friends than it is to play by yourself or with just your girlfriend. Although, she's a pretty good objective player, she likes to give the team other score streaks. Anyway, so thanks for stopping by, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that if you didn't know some of these things, it sheds some insight on them for you, and now it might help you make a more informed decision moving forward in the future. And I really, really, really wish everybody that viewed this video has a fantastic day. And if for some reason you don't, remember, your kitchen has knives and your parents' cars have tires.